Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of My Waterbury. I am your host, Art Denz, and as customary, I have to say hello to our little princess. She's enjoying her summer vacation, and pretty soon she'll be starting her first, actually in school, her first grade. So that will be exciting. And as we continue to go on forward, it will only get better. I do want to mention that the folks up in Town Plot, or anybody in the city for that matter, August 9th, we are having our annual picnic and concert. We have two bands. We have the Big Band Sound, led by Dave Gardino, and then we have the a younger type crowd, a younger type band, I should say, 3G. They will be playing first, and we also have Daisy the Clown. Hot dogs, drinks, and chips will be free. So I invite you to come up, pay a visit, say hello, and listen to the fine music that we provide each and every year. Now, to get into this evening's show, this is John King. Quinn. That's all right. I told you, I'm a little behind tonight. John Quinn is a resident of Woodbury. And as I keep telling you folks, week after week, I do read the editorials that are written by our residents within the state, especially surrounding Waterbury. And there's many letters that I really enjoy, and they get right to the point. And I just can't understand why more and more people cannot get in line to see where folks like John is coming from. And for that matter, you know where I'm coming from. To have honest and open government, to have people that are elected to actually represent us. And the way they're changing this country, this state, is really, really discouraging to me, and I know to so many other people. As I keep saying over and over again, this is not the America that I grew up in. It has changed drastically. And my reasons are, as I keep telling you over and over again, is the people in Washington. But John, saying that, I am glad you took my invite.
No, glad to be here.
I enjoyed that letter immensely, and I'll tell you, you can't say it any better. So
thank you.
Please feel free to.
Well, I wrote the letter. It appeared Saturday morning. And I was totally shocked. I've written letters before, and they were, I'd get maybe a call. Sometimes I get a call or two. But this one, by about noon on Sunday, I had gotten 12 calls.
Really?
Right. The last one of which was you. Okay. I got a call from a gentleman in Torrington who was a former state legislator, 89-year-old survivor of Iwo Jima.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And it's just, as Art said, this country is falling apart. Okay, and the Confederate flag, my letter basically said that after the hullabaloo over the Confederate flag, that I decided I was going to buy one and put it on my flagpole out front. In the letter I said I had ordered it. Well, I have gotten it now, and it is up on the pole.
Good.
Okay. Excuse me. It's just the Confederate flag, it's a piece of cloth. People say it stands for racism, it stands for slavery. It doesn't. Maybe the people who fly it think that way. All right? But if you get rid of it, you eliminate any mention of it, it's erasing history. Okay, and if you erase history, future generations are not going to know what happened, and it will be repeated. As George Santayana said, I'm paraphrasing, I don't know the exact quote, that those who don't remember history are doomed to repeat it.
John, just to touch it, what is history? Because now our students are not even taught history any longer.
No, they're not.
So,
well, they're taught a variety of history, but it's it's not what history was.
Right, exactly.
It's what the current public school system wants the people,
Yeah.
wants the kids to
Exactly.
think it was.
Yeah. And that's sad, because without history, I mean, especially the youngsters, they should know where this country started from. England, actually, you know, when they keep saying that the Confederate flag stands for racism and slavery and everything, well, guess what? Slavery came over here from England. We didn't start
right.
it here in the United
That's right.
States. And it was, if I could remember, I think it was legal to be a slave owner at that time.
Of course it was. And you have to view history from the point of view of what was going on at the time it occurred. Did we make mistakes in our history? Of course we did.
Oh.
Obviously.
Tons.
But you just, I mean, back then, like some of the things in my letter there, where they want to take down and move the Jefferson Memorial,
Yeah.
they want to take down the Washington Memorial. Okay, if they do that, because they own slaves. So if they take them down or move them or whatever, erase them from our history, Jefferson and Washington still own slaves. And taking them down and moving them isn't going to help the slaves at all.
That's right.
That they had.
That's right.
Right? You have to keep history.
And I was just telling John, folks, I heard on the news this evening, the Democrats have their annual Jackson-Jefferson dinner
Right.
up in Hartford. And guess what? If you didn't see the news this evening, they are taking the title off. They're still going to have their dinner, but it's not going to be the Jefferson-Jackson dinner any longer. It's going to be, I didn't hear the name, but it doesn't relate, because they were slave owners. This is what you referred to as political correctness.
Right. And it's killing the country.
And
What political correctness is basically the left. I call them liberals, progressives, communists, use your own term.
right,
They're killing the country because what they're doing is they're telling you that if you say something, that offends me. Okay? Well, I'm sorry it offends you. I have a right in the First Amendment to say it.
free speech.
Okay?
Right.
You can say something that offends me. That doesn't bother me. But, I mean, we're getting to that point where they just want to shut the opposite side, our side.
And that's
the
what it
conservative
is.
side, they want to shut them up. So that they can't
And John,
say
not to
anything.
interrupt, but what these politicians do is they play right into the hands of the, and I'm not talking race, minority type
Right.
of thoughts that they want to, just as you said, the political correctness, they want to go to that side just to appease them.
Right.
And that's what they're doing
Right. And
with
that's
everything that's going on in this country today.
Yep.
And so where does that leave the law-abiding citizen who did everything the right way coming in?
Yep.
Where does that leave them?
Out in left field somewhere.
Exactly. We have a call.
Okay.
Good evening, caller. Hello?
Hey, how you doing?
Great.
Hey, this is Bob. How you doing?
Yes, how are you, Bob?
Hey, I got breaking news for you.
Uh-oh.
Waterbury Republican American just sold.
What?
They sold the newspaper as of today, or it's going to come out either today or tomorrow or the next day. But the newspaper sold. Paper sold the newspaper.
Really? Finally?
Yep.
I know it was, they were offered many, many different times.
Right, but maybe we'll get real news in Waterbury.
Well, well,
I hope it's not the kind of news we've been talking about.
well, that could be, but, you know, obviously they're pro-Republican, as the name states, as everybody knows that, and, you know, if you don't get...
I think it's the Gazette or somebody. I'm not who. I misquoted the name, but it's from a major company.
Wow.
Maybe they'll flip Democrat.
Maybe we'll go back to the Waterbury Democrat.
There you go.
Then I'll have even more fun writing letters that they won't publish.
Right. All right, Bob.
All right, bye.
Thank you very much. Well, that was discussed quite often over the past few months. I mean, even when I worked there for 41 years.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And there were many times that people came in wanted to buy the newspaper. Probably one of the few family-owned newspapers in the state.
Yeah, I know.
But obviously, if that's correct, as Bob said,
No, I'm 72, and I've been reading it for
yeah,
probably at least 60 years,
yeah.
maybe longer, if
Yeah.
you throw in the comics.
But John, as I said, going, what you're saying here in your letter, and what you mentioned already about the Washington Monument and everything, what in the world does that have to do? You know, I get so upset about the way people think in this country, and I don't expect everybody to agree with me because we have
I know.
our differences of opinion.
Obviously.
You know?
Yeah.
But I mean, when you're coming in and you want to erase American history, what does that say about us? Or what does the future hold for the younger generation?
I don't know, but it scares me to death.
It does. Because I could think of my grandchildren, great-grandchildren. What will they know about what America was? They'll know what it is when they're growing up.
Yep.
But what will they know about what America was? How great this country was. It was the #1 country in the world,
Right?
the most giving country in the world. And now all of a sudden, they won't have that background
No.
where they
They
could
will,
say,
they will never know how the country was founded
right,
and what principles it was founded on.
exactly. And like you said, the North and the South, obviously, they fought the Confederate War.
Right.
And
And that wasn't fought just totally over slavery.
no,
I mean, there were economic issues, there was Southern nationalism and Northern nationalism, and
now just picture this. What if the South won? What kind of a country would we be in today?
well, that's right.
You know what
Or
I'm
even,
saying?
as I mentioned in my letter, when they were debating the Constitution, all right, the agreement that they came to as far as counting slaves as being represented for representation, they said that each slave would be 3/5 of a person.
Right, right.
Okay, now obviously that's wrong.
Yeah, of course it
Back
is.
then, all right, they agreed to that. It was legal to own slaves then, and the Constitution was ratified, and we became a country. If that agreement had not been reached, who knows where we'd be?
Exactly. We had
We
this,
might still be 13 separate countries.
exactly. But we were discussing this tonight about this, and I said to my wife, what about all the farmers out on the West Coast,
Right.
where they take all the illegals
Yep.
for cheap labor? Is that a form of slavery?
I know.
And so are we going to hold the farmers?
All this hullabaloo over the Confederate flag, I have yet to hear any mention of what was done to the Native Americans under the American flag.
You're right.
What's
I
the
mean,
difference?
they can still continue to fight for their sovereign rights
Right.
of land and everything. A lot of them have been denied, obviously. But yeah, I mean, they're the
Yeah.
ones that we took the property from.
Yeah, we basically took their country.
So
Did
is
we
there
do
any kind
something,
of
did we do something wrong there? Obviously we did. But again, you have to look at it through the eyes of what was going on at the time it was done.
Exactly.
You can't take today's values and stick them back there
No.
and change history.
no, and you can't take our way of life today and
Right.
compare it with them
No.
in those days, because it was obviously totally different.
Right.
And this is what we're faced with, and, as I keep going on and on and on, I see it within government today, that so much is changing. The rules that this president makes, what happened to Congress? Don't they make these laws? Aren't they, the laws are supposed to come out of Congress?
Yeah, I don't want to get into a debate on Trump here. But
No,
I'm not saying, but I just want to say that I heard something on the radio the other day. I listen to a lot of talk radio. And I heard somebody say the Donald Trump right now, not so much what he's saying, but the way he's saying it and not backing down, is what Republican backers or conservatives expected out of Congress
Yeah.
after
Right.
the 2010 elections and after the 2014 elections.
Right.
And these conservatives, Tea Partiers, got into Washington and they rolled over and played dead.
Exactly. The
I mean,
same thing with
Republicans now, they stand for nothing.
Well, the same thing with Boehner. I mean, they had a high expectation of him when he took over as,
Yep.
as a chair, and he was a total failure.
Right.
And you know, I saw a good comparison. I think it was your letter or this other gentleman's letter about when, or someone else, another letter, when Reagan was president, and he mentioned about the evil empire being
Right.
Russia, communism and so forth and so on. And he came out and mentioned it, but you don't hear this president mention anything about ISIS, about the Muslim community that's...
He won't even use the term Islamic extremist,
Exactly.
you know, and that is political correctness.
It is?
Well, that's, you know,
I think it's a step beyond political
that could be.
correctness, because this man, like I say, as far as I'm concerned, we have been going in the wrong direction
Oh, yeah.
with this man as president. I'm sorry. And look at, and someone wants to say it's racist, think what you want. I said, when that man got elected, I said, well, maybe this will be the good thing for this country.
right.
Give him a chance.
Can I tell you a little story?
Sure.
Because
We got a phone
I've come
problem.
close, I've come close.
I'll be with you, caller.
I've come close to being called a racist on Facebook many times. All right, back when I went to started college in 1960, out in Marietta, Ohio, there was a black kid in the dorm, and he and I became best friends. This is 1960.
Yeah,
Before the civil rights movement really got going.
right.
So one night, we decided to go down to one of the local bars in town, because in Ohio, they had two different types of beer. They had 3.2 beer and 7.6 or whatever it was. Between 18 and 21, you could drink 3.2.
Okay.
I mean, you had to be 21 to get to 7.6 or whatever. So anyway, we went into this bar. So as we walked through the door, there was a table right by the door, and a white kid stood up, and he said, "What are you doing in here, the N-word?"
Yeah, yeah.
I punched him. I knocked him right back over the table. Right? Only punch I ever threw in my life.
Really.
Okay? So that's the kind of racist I am.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, you know, they tend to judge quickly,
Right.
and obviously, just because you may say something that might offend them because of who they are, and obviously, no, I know exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Good evening, caller.
Good evening.
Hello?
Good evening.
Yes,
Yep, good evening.
go ahead.
I'm just calling about the article that was in the Republican American yesterday regarding senior citizens and their handguns being taken away from them. I've never seen a senior citizen with a walker being a threat to anybody. And I don't think that the President of the United States should be targeting senior citizens. He should be going after the illegal aliens, the people that are terrorists, and anything that is suspicious. They're going after the wrong people. And this is where our tax dollars are being, going to. And this is very shameful. Well, so I wanted to say one other thing. For the President to apologize to other countries for the way that we did our transitions with other countries. That's a slap in the face to all the veterans who gave their lives for the country,
Yeah,
for our freedom. And that's really all I got to say. I'm very shocked, to hear this kind of news. Our rights are being taken away from us.
slowly but surely, caller, that's what's happening. And unfortunately, what's happening is Congress is letting them do it. They're not stepping up to the plate.
Nope.
I also saw in today's paper where they have the the new recruits coming in, that there are people that are coming down voluntarily with their own guns and everything, not violently, but to protect people that are in the military, that are at these where they
The recruitment stations, yes.
they're recruiting stations.
Right.
I think that's nice of the people to come in.
Yeah.
And that really shouldn't, I mean, I'm happy to see that those people step up to that, but that should be really coming from the government, protecting those recruiters.
I find it excuse me, I find it very ironic that we have armed citizens protecting our military personnel.
Right, exactly.
I know, and unfortunately, with Waterbury, the way our police officers are in the shortage, it won't be long before the National Guard has to come in to, and it sounds far-fetched, but, you know, the times for people before they get a police officer to their house, no, this has nothing to do with police officers. That keeps coming up all the time. This has nothing to do with police officers. This has a record shortage of police officers and response times that has nothing to do with the police officers. It's the rest of police officers. That's what the problem is. And these people, these officers are fatigued. They're working overtime, and their judgment, it could be off because of all the overtime that they're putting in. And I really feel for the police officers, and I commend them greatly for the work and the protection that they give to the city, and they have my full support, but they are not getting the support that they need.
No, I agree.
Thank you very much.
All right, caller, thank you. It makes a couple of good points, and as you know, I don't have to tell you about what they've been doing to the police all over the country.
No.
I mean, making them the bad guys.
Yeah.
But yet, it's okay for when these riots go on, and nothing is done about it. The
Yeah.
damage that's,
Right.
that they've created, some of the lives that have been lost in those particular riots, but you don't hear anything from the president about that.
Right. And that Kate Steinle that was shot out in San Francisco.
Right.
Right? And another thing, I mean, it got to the point, how many days has it been since the Chattanooga shooting? And the White House finally lowered the flag to half staff.
Yeah, that was on, I heard that was it today or yesterday on the radio?
But the ultimate was the mayor of Baltimore,
Oh,
when she told the police to back off and
Yeah.
just,
right.
let them go. All right, and then after it was all over, then she asked FEMA for money to repair the city.
So
Our tax
yeah,
dollars.
of course. Who else?
Yeah.
Jan, I keep saying it over and over again. The politicians don't have a problem spending our money.
Right, oh yeah.
It doesn't come out of their pocket per se.
Milton Friedman used to, I can't remember the quote, but he used to have a great thing about, if you spend your own money on something you want, or you spend your money on somebody else,
Yeah.
or you spend somebody else's money on something you want, or you spend somebody else's money on somebody else, there was 4 different items. I
Right.
don't remember it
Right.
exactly, but I mean, it was a classic case. The 4th one was what the government's doing today.
But this is what we're faced with.
Yeah.
And I keep saying over and over again, what does it take? Are there so many people entrenched within being a government employee? Why don't these people get out and vote? Are they, well, because number one, I keep saying it, there's much too much welfare.
Yep.
Because, and I keep giving this analogy to a lot of people. I was speaking to a gentleman about a year ago, much younger than me, and he was talking. He says, you know the difference between your generation and my generation? He says, in your generation, everything was like this.
Yeah.
Handshake. Today, everything is like this. And I said, it's simple, but it hits the nail right on the head, doesn't it, folks?
Well, I was just talking to my wife last night, and I mentioned with welfare, the way it's set up in this country, if somebody's on welfare and they go get a job, okay, they lose their welfare. Okay, the way it should be set up is if they go get a job and they're making $400 a week, and their welfare payment was $500 a week, okay, then the government should step in and give them welfare for that $100 difference.
Yeah,
That way, they don't lose any money, but they're out, they're working,
Right.
they're learning, work ethic,
yeah.
and but they
At least
don't.
it gives them a little bit more incentive.
Right.
But the way it is today, because everything is given to them, a lot of them think that, especially when the kids, that's their way of life.
Right.
So they'll be doing the same thing when they get old enough.
Right,
So
exactly.
what do well, if there are parents that to teach them anything,
Yeah.
that's the biggest problem.
Right.
Our big problem today, and you're a former teacher, you said.
No,
Oh, okay,
No.
I thought I heard you say that
No.
before. But, I mean, today, these kids don't have parental guidance.
right. You wouldn't want me teaching in a school today.
And I'm
I'd be
saying,
fired before I was there 2 days.
well, you know, the problem is, the way laws have changed, now, they can't even look cross-eyed at a child, and they get in trouble.
I know.
That's the problem. When we were kids. Wow, okay, let's take the call. Good evening, caller.
Oh,
Hello?
Art,
Yes?
you guys are making too much sense. Just making too much sense, so you gotta knock it off.
Okay.
There's one question, I just got in, I just turned the television on now, so, have you seen the proliferation, or you noticed the proliferation of out-of-state license plates, marker plates?
Oh,
It's incredible.
yes, it is.
Mostly from New York,
Yeah.
from Massachusetts, I just don't get it.
Especially New York, there's a lot of them.
And so, right, and we're getting stuck with has to be paid, has to be made up for these people not registering their cars.
Yeah, I know it. We discussed this.
Yeah, isn't there any type of, what would you say, agency that's in place that can look into this?
We discussed this at one of our neighborhood meetings, caller, and unfortunately, I guess they have to have a good reason to check the plates out. And unfortunately, we're down near the end, and I hate to cut you off, but
Yeah, no, thanks, and keep up the good work, and I read Mr. Quint's article.
good. I'm glad you did.
Thank you.
Made a lot of sense.
It did, take care.
Thanks for the call.
Bye.
Wow, time really flew, John.
Yep.
John, I want to thank you so
Okay.
much for coming on. It was a pleasure. As I said, keep writing those letters.
Oh, I will.
More and more people should do the same thing. Read the letters. See how your fellow citizen thinks about what their government is doing for them and especially what it's not doing for us. This is what we're faced with. Well, you have an important election coming up. That's another story I will get to next week about this local election, which to me, it wasn't designed to be what it is. It's a farce. With that being said, I want to thank you for allowing me into your living room this evening, folks. I hope you got some good information here. Good Lord willing, I will see you next week. Have a good week.